session of the 16th Conference of Tamil Nadu State Committee of Center of Indian Trade Unions, the respected invitees from our trade union movement, from INTUC, AITUC, HMS, UTUC, LPF, AICCTU. I think nobody is left out. UTUC. All our trade union colleagues who are working together shoulder to shoulder in the joint platform of central trade unions and independent federations, also at the national level. Those colleagues are also here. On behalf of CITU, I thank them all, express my gratitude to them all, and also I announce it to be a privilege of mine to address the inaugural session as an inaugurator. Now, comrade, we are in a very unfortunate that I cannot communicate in your own language. I have to communicate through a foreign language. Anyway, our comrades will be translating me afterwards to you. The thing is that we are in the face of a very critical situation when this 16th conference of CITU is taking place in Tamil Nadu. And you know that it is the run-up to the All India Conference, 18th conference of All India Conference of CITU, being held in Visakhapatnam from 31st December to 4th January. It is in the process of that, as our organizational processes. The state level conferences, district level conferences, federation level conferences, union level conferences are taking place throughout the country during this intervening period, and Tamil Nadu conference is started today here, the 16th conference. At the outset, I wish all success to this exercise. Conference is basically an organizational exercise premised on the challenges they are facing, being faced by the working class of the country. And to our understanding, the problem that is being faced by the working class is in fact problem being faced by the entire toiling populace of the country. And not only that, the challenges that is being faced is also a challenge before our national economy and also challenges to the long established democratic process of political governance and inclusive policies. Also it is a challenge to the inclusive policies of the social governance. The constitution of ours has committed whatever commitment is there, both in our constitution, including in its directive principles of state policy. Everything is facing a serious challenge. And it is CITU's understanding, which I want to assert on behalf to your conference. That assertion is of critical importance, that it is the assertive role, combative role of the working class in the country only can save the situation. Save the situation, save the country from an inevitable disaster to its self-reliant economic developmental process. It is only working class intervention, working class combative intervention can create a condition to put a break to the continuing impoverishment of the lives and livelihoods not merely of the workers, but also entire common population in the society. It only can, a working class intervention can make a difference in putting again a break in the process of the total authoritarianization of the entire economic management, entire political and governance management, and also entire societal management. And it is again the working class intervention, united intervention of the working class, can put a resistance to the heinous poison spreading exercise being carried on in the society by the ruling polity. And it is foolish to consider it to be an exercise by the ruling polity. It is the capitalist class, it is the corporate class. They are utilizing this poisonous root for their own class interest, to make more money at the cost of mass of the people and at the cost of national self-reliant development, looting the natural resources and national resources. I think this is the overall challenge before the working class movement. And one thing I like to communicate to you that, yes, this potential of the working class movement, which alone can create a condition of pulling the entire society in resistance to this struggle, that condition that they can create, 9th July strike experience is an example of that, where it is not merely workers, peasants coming together could create a condition for the other segment of the people from the other segment of society also to come out on the street against these disastrous anti-people, anti-national policies of the ruling polity at the center. So, this is the challenge in the midst of which this 16th conference is taking place, and where the movement, trade union movement and Tamil Nadu, in the state of Tamil Nadu, working class movement also played a very stellar role during this intervening period by leading many historic struggles. And I must say, in some respects, showing the path to the rest of the country through their many successful militant united intervention in the process of struggle. So I believe this conference, in its forthcoming 4 days exercise, must evaluate that experience, must take note of the potential that exists today before us, not only to save the working class, save working class right, but also save the country, which has become the same. It overlaps with the other, which cannot be separated. Saving the nation, saving the people. That is the slogan coined by the joint platform of central trade unions in all its previous struggles, including this 9th July historic general strike. So, comrade, in that kind of a situation, with this comprehensive understanding, this 4-day exercise, and the experience of your struggles, interventions, since your last 15th conference onwards, during last 2.5 to 3 years, many successful struggles, I think that must generate confidence to go further aggressively in a combative approach. And that is the need of the hour. Why should I say? Your experience of last 3 years also proves that. We are no more in the stage of appeasing, discussing, negotiating, convincing that segment of ruling polity who are in the field of different authority. That stage has gone. Your own struggles experience during last 3 years, what does it show? It is only where a compulsion could be created by an exercise of defiance and resistance. You will not agree, let us act. It is only through that process. Whatever success you could get in your struggle during last 3.5 years. And in that process, that combative process could enthuse the workers, peoples in other areas, and the canvas of the struggle could be further expanded. I am glancing through your report. During this period, in and around 15,000 multinational companies, who our ruling polity is considered as their parents, they who have come over here to invest, to take our country to growth and advancement. All these stories are being told by many intellectual agents of the ruling class. They have not come for any assistance to you. They have come here because profit is more here. During the process of 3 decades of neoliberalism, today USA is facing a situation of deindustrialization. Serious unemployment, particularly in the manufacturing segment. Because the capital has shifted in an area where wage is cheaper. They have not come for giving you an opportunity. They have come for their own interest. And that day they will understand that interest is gone. They will not take no time to flee away. And that's why we are demanding, some of our demand, that there must be a strict regulatory exercise on these capitals who are gaining fortune from the soil by exploiting our own people, and profits are being repatriated to their country. Entire Europe and USA, they are earning out of the labor, sweated labor by the workers in the developed countries. All big industries, big segment, including the high-tech segment, the basic profits are generated in the soils of the developing countries, including India. The finished goods are going to them, final value addition is getting transferred there. And the fortune they are earning, which is 10 times, 50 times more than whatever margin is being earned on the Indian soil or the soil of the developing countries. This is how the entire world economy is operating under neoliberal regime. That has to be clearly understood by the working class. And in that direction, we have to carry on our struggle. It is an welcome thing that during this period, in more than 15 multinational companies, multiple days strike has taken place, starting from 30 days, somewhere 70 days, somewhere 18 days, somewhere 10 days, somewhere week-long strike on the basis of their demand, and they gained they got success in most of their struggle. the struggle of Samsung has become a history which has inspired the entire industrial workforce of the entire country. There was solidarity action throughout the country hailing the Samsung workers' militant strike, which was led by our leadership in the Tamil Nadu. It's a heroic strike. These are the rich experience you do have. During the same period, again let me reiterate, the one of the basic instrumentality of the ruling class, the exploiting class, for their exploitation is continuously degenerate the quality of employment. Regular workers are being replaced by contract workers. Contract workers are being replaced by trainees, interns who are not covered by any labor law. This process is going on. In our 17th conference, we have identified organizing contract workers must be our priority if trade union movement is to ensure its existence. And I must say, Tamil Nadu comrades played a very important role, not only organizing the contract workers, but also carrying on their militant battle, and many places they attained a success. The struggle by the Tuticorin port workers, contract workers, struggle by the thermal plant workers in Tuticorin, all contract workers, struggle by the Vellore, that thermal power plant workers, all contract workers, struggle by numerous such struggles during this entire period. Also has shown that Tamil Nadu CITU played a very important role in taking up the cause. And you must discuss thoroughly in your conference how this struggle could enthuse workers in the other sectors in the state to take up this cause as a priority task. That is how we could exist. Conspiracy is going deeper and further. Very recently, let me cite the example from Tamil Nadu itself. The Tiruchirappalli BHEL, they applied for amending their standing order, including in the definition of their apprentice also on-the-job trainees. The purpose is very clear. They want to replace the regular workers on the shop floor by the interns, trainees and on-the-job trainees who are neither covered by any labor law nor management is obliged to pay them minimum wage and other social security benefit. Just imagine, if this can go unhindered in the days to come, in a state like Tamil Nadu, which is basically an industrial state, it is still number one state in the country in terms of its industrial existence, in terms of the industrial workers, and also in terms of the workers' share in the net value addition. Tamil Nadu's share is well above the national average. By your struggle, you can achieve that. National average is 15%. Workers' share in the net value addition. The Tamil Nadu share is near 20%. It is not because of the pro-worker approach of the employers. It is because the Tamil Nadu working class movement know how to tackle an impertinent Satan, to tackle their impertinence. by similar expression of organized impertinence demonstrated through strike and other actions. It is because of that it could remain at the above the national average. But I am telling you, if this continues, then the shop floors will be managed by not wage holders, but stipend holders. Trainees and others get stipends without any coverage of labor law under the new labor code. That was the main grand plan of this Indian ruling class, the corporate class. It is just not Modi or Amit Shah or here and there. It is the corporate class who are utilizing their servants sitting in the governance for their own interest, in a situation when the overall system is riddled with crises. They could not increase the rate of growth. They could not increase the total value addition. They are trying to redistribute its share here and there, and workers are the most target of all kind of victimization and deprivation. That is the new model of the economy they are pushing through much aggressively, trampling underfoot all constitutional provisions and laws and the rules of logic. In that direction they are going ahead. Labor code is whole designed in that direction. And now they are going further ahead of the labor code, declaring their draft labor policy, where they are shamelessly telling that government's role is no more to ensure compliance of rule of law. Government's role is to facilitate employment. So, under the new labor policy, government is repositioning itself from its responsibility of compliance of law to the role of a facilitator for the employers to violate law. That does clearly means they are shamelessly, openly making this statement. And it is put on the public domain. All the trade unions protested against that. CIT was the pioneer, we started with that. Shared with all our trade union friends. And all other colleagues also, organizations also wrote in protest to this. And this comprehensive protest has compelled the government to call a tripartite meeting on 13th of this month to discuss this. Otherwise, without discussion, they are pushing it through. And after some time on the parliament, in the Halla Bulla, they would have declared this is the policy of the government. The resistance started. But unfortunately, during the same period, none from the political community has ever told anything, any protest, any opposition to that. They understand this issue, but much late. When the farmer struggle was started on 2020 in the border of Delhi, many of the big political parties could come to sense that it is a very big struggle. Not before 6 months, but from the day one the country's trade union movement was on the street in support of that struggle. It is the trade unions movement's assertion on the ground could finally invigorate the sense organ of the political community who are governed by their respective class interests. Red flag is the only departure from that. CI2 conference must take note of this, and understand this to be their holiest political responsibility. For defending their own trade unions, it is important to create a compulsion throughout the country among the political community, including so-called opposition, that these are the issues. These are the issues. The issue is not that minister or that minister or that prime minister or that state. Issue is this. And the positioning of those respective political forces on these issues will decide whether they are friends of the people or foes of the people. Only in that process, this criminal regime could be resisted, which is being governed from the center. A poisonous regime which seeks to divert the attention of the people from their pains, from their distress, and make them fight on ground of religion, caste, community, and whatnot. And they want to try to make the people forget that today, the most secular are the capitalist class. And they consciously utilizing these communal divisive machinations to continue their rule of exploitation. But by their action, they are more secular. When they close down a factory, they don't see how many are Muslims, how many are Hindus, how many are this community, how many are backward community, how many are Dalit community, don't see. Even he is a backward community employer or a Brahmin employer or a Thakur employer. They don't see. Quite secularly, they throw out the workers on the street. But using this poisonous communal divisive instrument to carry on their exploitation. And that's why the labor policy, which is now put in the public domain, are now speaking about that they have drawn inspiration for this labor policy from the Manusmriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti, what? Kautilya Arthashastra, and so on and so forth. These are our civilizational ethos. Just imagine in the soil of Tamil Nadu, the whole game plan is to impose a Brahminical order, which says that those who are labor, they will labor only. Whose chase? Those who are labor, they are labor only. They don't have right. They have to continue their Sheba in the interest, under the direction of great God, in the service of other communities. Just imagine. They are making the foundation of the new labor policy on this. This is the challenge today. There are other challenges out there. The trade union platform in the country are unitedly fighting against that. Even in the last meeting we held jointly, we decided that so far as labor policy is concerned, it will be cumulatively, unitedly rejected. Before the minister will tell, we reject this and will oppose that, as we are opposing and demanding the scrapping of labor codes. This communication will make on 13th going to minister, and already in writing we have communicated, and many other trade union has already communicated. I think this is also another angle of the battle which is coming to us. So in this background, challenging situation, much more unity, wider unity. I take the advantage of my colleagues sitting over here, trade union movement. Much more unity and translating that unity at the grassroots level, at the industries, at the port, at the docks, at the harbors, at the industries, when we decide a common action that need to be carried down on the grassroots level, I believe we should meet together, review your experience of the 9th July strike, draw a lesson from there. Today's challenge has to be met, is to be an all-round, united, militant assertion. And if this continues, I can tell you, Modi hai to mumkin hai, this they want to make believe the entire country, and the mainstream media is making use of that. And in the background of imperialist aggression, hegemonistic aggression, through their new tariff terrorism, to destroy the Indian agriculture and Indian industries, to destroy even the highly modern industries which are here, to make them work on a reduced terms of reference. That is going to affect their economy also in a very big way, the new tariff regime. And the government of India just keeping mum to that, even not protesting the arrogant gangster-like statement of the Trump and his allies. They don't have the guts to make that statement also. Although trade unions are raising their voice against that, I think their sense organ also need to be create some irritation among their sense organ by our struggle in the days to come, and this is also one of the major challenges. So much better unity is the need of the hour. And carrying the unity at the grassroots to implement the call 100%, that level, taking the situation in that direction, that is the urgent need of the hour. On behalf of CI2, we appeal to all of you during these 4 days. Other organizational matter, I will speak in the delegate conference. But this is the task before us. For that, we have to reach everybody, reach the unreached, make them understand their issue in terms of the policy regime, including role of imperialism in it, and expose the present policy regime, and including the politics which governing that policy regime. It is the class politics, not a politics of a particular political party, but a class politics. And in that class interest only is also spreading poisons in the society. So it is a comprehensive task to save the country, to save our industry, to save our economy, to save the rights of the people. Their project is to have an union-free workplace. We have to say that you are only dreaming, we will not allow that dream to be true. With that confidence, we have to intervene. I think this is the time, this is the period on which that intervention is required. With these few words, I believe this conference will make their exercise in that direction. I already thank my colleagues, Central Trade Union leaders here on behalf of CI2 again in coming to our conference. With these few words, I formally inaugurate this conference. Thank you, Comrade.